Willie D. Live.
Oftentimes in the service industry, like people will say that it's a thankless business, but not that business. Because I know when people are helping you in that regard, I mean, you're pretty much at your worst when you're burying a loved one.
Yes.
And when somebody is there and they're showing genuine concern,
Mm-hmm.
It means a lot. You do have to be that rock, so
Correct.
to speak, because you catching people. It don't matter if you're a 7-foot man, 7 feet, 300 pounds.
Yes. When they see mama,
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
You see mom in that casket,
That's
man,
right.
or you see your
Your
child in
spouse,
that casket
your child.
or something.
That's
yeah.
right. Loved ones, period.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we have to be strong for them, right? Reassure them. One thing I will tell you, the key thing I hear from my family is, you never left my side. Mm-hmm. I have people ask me, I had a friend pass, what do I do, Kenita? And I say, be there, show up, be present, let them feel you. They don't have to hear you. They just need to know you're there. And I think that's the most important piece of the healing, is being present for them. Because the funeral ends and then everybody goes home, all right? And everyone goes on with life. But the person who was closest to the person who passed is still having to overcome grief. Mm-hmm. There's stages to grief, right? And they can happen at any given time, any given way. I've heard people tell me, it took me years to get to this point of acceptance, because I was in shock and disbelief and anger. And, I found myself in these places where I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to accept. That's why they have grief counseling. That's why they have support groups, right? It's important that we have access to what we need as a people. It's important that we not have too much pride to say, hey, I need help getting over this, getting through this. And you never really just get over it, right? It stays with you. You manage it. But it's with help. That's why I have a life coach. I believe in that. I have people that I trust that, through my church that I love and are there for me. And I also have a life coach who will teach me and guide me through life, decision making, and how I process information, how I lead, how do I work through emotional setbacks that we all see. Me, I just may see more than others.
I've seen an uptick in fights at funerals. Mm. How much of your leadership involves conflict resolution?
A whole lot.
Yeah?
You know why? Business requires you to be able to deal with people and deal with conflict resolution at all times. It's unfortunate to hear that, because it is becoming too common, which is why we do not get involved. We always have to be the mediator, but at the same time, not be involved in conflict within families, because you can't really do that. You have to stay neutral. But I don't hesitate to have security, because we're at a time where boundaries are not kept.
Do you talk to your clients and say, hey, is there anything we should be worried about? And if so, do you kind of give them advice on how much security they may need?
Definitely.
Like, if you ever had a situation, you knew it was a volatile situation, you say, look, I can't tell you what to do, but, I think for something like this, you should have at least 17 cops.
Well, let's hope not. Then we might need to call HBD or whoever in. But here's what I will say. We advise, right? But if they don't take that advice, as leaders, it's up to us to make that decision. So I don't take that lightly, because I've been in situations where fights have broken out, and unfortunately, lives have been lost. Okay? So,
like at the funeral?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay? So I don't play when it comes to security, nor should anyone. This is a time where emotions are high, and a lot happens behind the scenes that we don't know anything about, nor do we need to know. Our role and responsibility is to protect that family and ourselves. So if any leader has the inclination that there is a risk involved, security should be there, whether the family decides or not. What if they can't afford it? We make a decision, because I'm not going to let that prevent me from protecting those I'm responsible for.
Mm-hmm. So when you make that decision, is that decision to shut down shop, or is it to?
It depends on the caliber of the extent of the issue.
Do you ever take on some of that cost, the burden of the?
That's a part of the business.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, how do you got kids?
Of course I do.
How many kids?
I have 4.
Are your kids going into the business also?
Not one of them.
Not one.
And it's okay, because they have their own lives. See, that's another thing that I always say. Everyone has their own purpose and calling. Let them choose their path. Mm-hmm. My oldest is a dynamic digital media expert, creator. He runs his own business, JA Visuals. I'll give him a little plug. He's a wonderful creative. And I love the fact that I allowed my children to have their own space to thrive and be who they were and not who I am or who I want them to be. Mm-hmm. And also, my middle son is an athlete. He's about to graduate. He's also a Grand Reserve champion and Grand Showman for steers, and he loves agriculture. Mm. I have a youngest son who was a swimmer, and after 5 years, he said, I'm tired of swimming. I need to do something else. So now he's diving into football, but academically strong. My oldest graduated, is working. And my daughter by marriage, she is a wonderful daughter. She has always loved cosmetics and hair and taking care of others as well through therapeutic studies. So that's what she's doing. So it's okay if none of them decide to be in the funeral industry, because guess what? Someone will answer the call. They've got to know their assignment and do that.
Well, your daughter is about as close as it comes. She's doing cosmetic.
She loves, but she loves therapy more than she likes hair and makeup. But therapeutic studies is her thing. Yep.
You ever get short-handed, you say, "Hey, baby,
that's right.
Come on in and make this money."
You know, believe it or not, when we recruit, that's one of the areas I believe is a great avenue. Cosmetologists, right, and those who are in the service community. So, I've gone to some of our, I guess, career opportunities through the hospitality school, like at U of H, and we've gone out to those type places where people are really into serving others, hospitality, cosmetology. They actually love, especially people who love doing events like weddings and parties. They make great funeral directors. You know why? Because you get this one time to do it right. You don't have 6 and 8, 9 months, a year to plan like a wedding. You got a few days and you got to pull it off, right? So we do a lot of celebration of life. So we do displays and we do a lot, but it makes it fun when you're creative and you have that little niche. So I love showing people around and giving them the opportunity to just come in and say, would this be something I could do one day? Because the day of raising your children to do it, those days are kind of not as they were. Let me say that. The funeral business has changed a lot. So now it's preparing the future so that they're prepared for what's to come.
Do you see AI being involved in the funeral industry at all?
That's a good question. Maybe on the service piece, like come in, sign here instead of having a physical greeter. Maybe some type of stand where people can digitally sign, or there's
what about people being able to view the funeral?
Oh, yeah.
View the body from home.
Yeah, we do that already. So like
Y'all
Facebook Live, you have different organizations and companies that can help you by having services live streamed and all of that. So that's kind of there. COVID really pushed us into that next wave of technology and serving through technology. Mm-hmm. So that has already begun. But this is still a hands-on. You need hands and feet. You need people.
Boots on the ground.
That's it. Boots on the ground type industry. It's going to be, I could see maybe some robotic lawnmowers mowing the grass, maybe, right, one day. But people, you don't always need in this business.